You only have 9 lives, or do you? So this is Umbraclaw, and I have to admit, if I see a cool cat game, I will get it, or I'll try and get it, and then eventually maybe I might have time to review it. And it took me forever to review Stray, even though I had played it when it came out, and at least I think I did. I don't know, memory's going. And now I saw Umbraclaw, and it really tells the story of a cat named Kuon, and it's a house cat that's died in the mortal realm and awakens in the soul plane, the realm of the dead, in this game. And she must survive the underworld to return back to her owner. Now, when I read this, I'm like, well, if she died, should she really be going back to her owner? Like, if she died, presumably of natural causes, but I don't know why. That was just the thing that came to me right away. Like, if you die, you had your life, so why are you trying to go back to your owner? I mean, that'd be cool, but anyways. So, it feels like an action adventure game. It controls a lot like how I remember Lion King controlled on a Super Nintendo or Sega Genesis. Kind of floaty, like air physics and mechanics. And a single hit will kill Kuon, unfortunately, because she's just a house cat. It starts out as a house cat that's dead. And then this gives Kuon a new chance. Her Anima Revive brings her back with a new skill each time. Now, I think it's random. I could have sworn I saw a pattern, but there's like a porcupine move, there's a tiger slash, etc. I don't want to spoil everything just in case you do play this. But the catch is, and I didn't realize at the time, I had a hunch that Kuon can only come back 9 times, and then it's game over for Kuon. Depending on which mode you choose, let's not go into the details, but there's a mode where you only have 9 revives, and they mix it up depending on the difficulty. And yeah, so it makes her less a feline, and she becomes more humanoid, which sounds cool, but she starts to look like a Pokemon. Yeah, that Anubis Pokemon. I've forgotten the name right now. But anyways, this game reminds me a lot of like Lil Nemo Dream Master. Now that's putting us back like 30 years or whatever. Except your cat becomes more of a super cat than a boy and a new animal. So your cat is more like a superhero with all these like crazy powers. So graphics look fairly unique. I think that's what drew me in, and it probably drew a lot of people into this game if they've played it or seen it. It's crossed between like a mosaic glass painting and Yoshi's Island on the Super Nintendo, and I assume that's what they were going for, like something that, something that seemed a bit surreal yet, not gothic, but some surreal style of. And anyway, so this game brings forth interesting ideas that you don't usually see in a video game, which I give kudos to that for it. But it remains a fun game with simple game mechanics in the end. Now, while the story and concept is interesting, the actual gameplay seems a little less than refined and not as fun as it sounds. Like, the concept sounds great. The game is rather short. Apparently it's only a 1 or 2 hour run. I had enough after like half an hour, so I was like, okay, fine. The game seems to reward players who play more casually, who get the more powers. So the more you get hit, the more powers you get. And apparently you get an even better ending the more you get hit. So maybe it was like skewed towards people that are like not the best of gamers, more casual gamers. Then people apparently have to beat the game 9 times to get this hidden ending, which apparently is garbage compared to, not to spoil it, but save you time, just getting hit a few times and beating the game. So since the gameplay is simple and not very rewarding, I just didn't feel encouraged to continue playing. Like, it's very basic platforming. I found I got hit. I felt it was kind of cheap. I was trying to attack the enemies and still got hit. So it really reminded me of like the combat was very basic. It really reminded me of a game, even going back to Lion King. Let's go to like, it feels like a game that belongs on the Game Gear or even the original early Nintendo, rather than an indie title made in 2024. The shame is that the concept and the graphics are ultimately the allure to this game, but the actual gameplay is very weak and not very interesting. It really feels like a pretty game that it plays like a below mediocre title. So unfortunately, getting hit and getting powers is super annoying. I found it really annoying. Like every single time I got hit, like in most games you just flash a bit, then you can like continue onwards. But then it cuts into you're getting extra powerful, super powered cat, souped up cat, and it just takes way too long to watch this every single time you get hit, and I just find it's hard to avoid, either due to just the floaty jumping mechanics or just the way the cat is defenseless from the beginning. It almost promotes like stealth and enemy avoidance, which is kind of hard when you're trying to or miss jump, let's say. So couple this with like bland level design, which, as again, this feels like I'm going back to like someone's making like an offshoot port of Lion King for the Game Gear, but they don't expect to sell as much, so they don't put as much effort. That's what it feels like to me. So the levels seem mundane. The game seems to forget that it's the journey, not the destination, that should be meaningful, and I think that's where this game sort of misses the mark, unfortunately. The game goes for $33.99, which is a little bit high for, especially if it only lasts an hour or two. I feel like I paid $20, and I feel like, you know, it wasn't the game I was hoping it would be. I give this, unfortunately I have to give this 4 out of 10. Even though it has interesting concepts, it feels like a 4 out of 10. Not because it's not trying to do something, but just because it's not succeeding at that, and not being like entertaining, like not having a great gameplay loop, unfortunately. Just because the gameplay experience, sadly disappointing, shows a flashy coat of paint, so the graphics. It doesn't make a good game if the experience itself is undercooked, the gameplay experience. If you want these kind of graphics with solid gameplay, like you could even try Yoshi's Island, or even Stray. But I feel like this game has 3 lives left, and its gameplay sadly shows it, so keep on gaming. Yeah, unfortunate. Bye.